Alright, new season, so I guess it's time to make a quick follow-up to some of the gods I made videos on and that got reworked during season 3. So Vulcan's passive is now something that fits with his kit and isn't retarded. Nox's passive got a buff, so minions aren't her biggest threat anymore. It's still a shit passive compared to Raijin and Heibo. And they moved Erlong Shen's Fatalist effect from his 1 to his Minx form, so there's more decision making for what form to take. Although now Erlong Shen's 1 is that much more boring and out of place compared to the rest of his kit. And the Smite servers are as shit as ever. Right then, let's roll that intro. Welcome to the Real Deal Smite God reveal, featuring Fenrir, the bringer of Ragnarok.
When I look around, all I see are sheep.
You know, I was going to introduce Fenrir by his in-game title like all the other gods I've done videos on, but then I thought, you know, breaking some chains isn't exactly an impressive feat to accomplish for a god, especially when compared to ending all existence in the world. I mean, Samson broke some chains, and you know what happened to him? He died 2 seconds later because of it. So yeah, Hi-Rez, I suggest fixing Fenrir's title above all else. So Fenrir is one of those weird assassins in Smite where you can pretty much play him in whatever position you want and still do well. I mean, you can go with a more traditional assassin build, an auto attack build, off tank, or whatever the fuck you call this. Doesn't matter, it's all good. As far as his playstyle is similar to, he plays like a more CC heavy version of Warwick from League, I guess. Well, let's stop wasting time and get into his kit, shall we? Fenrir's passive is Unbound Runes. Fenrir gains efficiency as he attacks. Every hit from a basic attack activates 1 rune up to a max of 5. Each of Fenrir's abilities gain an additional benefit when used at maximum runes, and the runes are consumed. Enemy gods that Fenrir kills will fully activate all of his runes. This is pretty much the reason why Fenrir is so flexible within his build and leveling order. Regardless of what you do, Fenrir's passive helps to balance out the shortcomings. The only downside to Fenrir's passive is that you need to land 5 auto attacks, and sometimes you're stuck with shithead teammates who will clear the wave before you can get the passive online. There's not much else to comment on right now, so I'll mention where Fenrir's passive helps which abilities the most when we get to them. Fenrir's 1 is Unchained. Fenrir leaps forward, dealing 335 plus 80% of Fenrir's physical power to all enemy gods when he lands. At full runes, the leap stuns the enemy's hit for 1 second. If the leap hits a god, the cooldown is halved. There's really not much to talk about with this ability, it's just a jump. You jump. The only interesting detail about the jump is that when you land on a god, the cooldown gets halved, but it also takes into effect any cooldown reduction items you have. Just a detail to keep in mind. Although, with Fenrir's passive, the leap becomes one of the best engaged tools in the game. Yeah, that's about it. Next. Fenrir's 2 is Seething Howl. Fenrir rears back and howls, inspiring himself with 70 physical power and 30% lifesteal for 6 seconds. At full runes, the buff is increased by 50%. Fun fact, I consistently forget that Fenrir even has a 2. No, but really, this ability is okay, but it is the weakest ability to buff with his passive, so most of the time I don't. Yeah, the main weakness of Fenrir is that if you want the buff on his 1, but also want the extra damage from his 2 for the engage, it fucks up with the flow of Fenrir's combos since it will reset his passive so you won't have the buff for the ability you want. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward ability, so yeah, let's move on. Fenrir's 3 is Brutalize. Fenrir pounces to his ground target location. If there is an enemy in the radius, he strikes them 4 times, dealing 165 plus 50% of Fenrir's physical power with each strike while being immune to knockup. At full runes, each strike deals 75% damage to nearby enemies. Now this is Fenrir's main bread and butter ability. This is where his damage, lane clear, and camp clear comes from. It's a really good ability, and there are a few little things to keep in mind about it. The big one is that the ability counts as a leap. So that means you can use the ability to jump over walls, but it also means cripples fuck over Fenrir hard. As in, you can stop Fenrir from continuing his damage chain by crippling him. You can also cancel the chain early if you right click, and the only reason to do that would be if the enemy is smart and tries to lead you into a trap. Also, this ability will break if the enemy leaps, gets banished, or turns invisible, although Fenrir will still follow gods that dash. Man, why does all the interesting shit to talk about have to be tied to only one of Fenrir's abilities? Oh, whatever, let's finish this all up. Fenrir's ult is Ragnarok. Upon Ragnarok, Fenrir grows massive in size, becoming immune to CC while moving 50% faster. Fenrir bites enemy gods, dealing 500 plus 120% of Fenrir's physical power and carrying them away for 2 seconds. Biting a CC immune target deals the damage but ends his ultimate. At full runes, his protections double. If you guys follow my Real Deals series, you should know by now how low my opinion on the guy who writes these descriptions is. Needless to say, it's poorly written here too. The description would imply that Fenrir can bite multiple gods or do multiple bites to a god in his ult, but he can only grab one god per ult and the damage is only applied once. Sad thing is that this is an easy grammar fix. Just say Fenrir can bite an enemy god. Well, I guess Hi-Rez doesn't have time to fix these descriptions when they're busy fixing the servers. Wait. What the fuck do you people do? Well, whatever. So really this ability is good just because it's like a single target Ares ult. But it used to be so good that Hi-Rez had to rework Nuwa so the shake and bake combo couldn't be a thing anymore. It's still a good ult regardless, but obviously beats counters the shit out of it. Another thing the description doesn't mention is how long the ult lasts for, but it's about 5 seconds. One tip I will give out is this. Choose a god you want to ult and have a plan B if it doesn't immediately work. Seriously, I cringe every fucking time I see a Fenrir ult because they're either dead set to chase that one god, even if it's a circuit running to the second tower in assault and they get caught out, or they miss their intended target and start spazzing out trying to find something to grab. Like, fuck! I wouldn't be surprised if an actual dog was playing Smite with how much people fuck up this easy and straightforward ult. As far as the passive buff, I've never intentionally used it on Fenrir's ult, simply because it doesn't do much. I guess you could argue that it's good for tower diving, but towers do shit damage anyway, so I guess you could only use it really in the early game and jump from 20 protections to 40 protections. Pretty shitty trade-off compared to a 1 second stun or more damage. Well, that's Fenrir for you. While he is a good god, I don't see why Hi-Rez doesn't push him for beginners to pick up. I mean, he was the god I first started playing back in Season 1, and it's what got me hooked into playing Smite. Like, Fenrir teaches new players the concepts of kit synergy with his passive, item builds based on situation, and he's still useful to a team with his ult even if he starts falling behind. Arguably, he's a much better assassin to pick up than Thor, a god Hi-Rez gives to all players for free. Regardless, Fenrir is a good god that fits into pretty much any comp. Give him a whirl, have fun, and good luck fighting Poseidon.